We were about 2,000 feet above the ground. And we were flying, everything was copacetic, it was a clear night. And I think it was Deanna who said, gee, there's a red light in the eastern horizon, and it's approaching. And then all of a sudden, the commentary increases in tempo. It seems to be coming right at us. It's a red light, and it just seems like the intensity began to increase. So it was traveling relatively fast. Was it 600 knots? Was it 500 knots? I can't say. Was it 1,000? Who knows? But it was much, much faster than what we were used to seeing at that altitude on our regular flight. Boyne says, I've got the aircraft. Immediately, he went into an auto rotation, which in the Army helicopters, you cut the throttle, you put the collective down, and you drop pretty aggressively. Something happened. Something came in, and it rattled the crew. And I have no idea what it was. I only got to see the object. It was directly above us. And what I noticed was a very bright white light. It was close enough to be of major concern.
Yeah.
It moved quickly, and I recall following it all the way to the horizon where it disappeared. And all of a sudden, we noticed that we were a little higher altitude than we typically would fly. After it passed, we got back to altitude. We flew back to Cleveland Hawkins and landed. First reaction was we contacted the FAA. They weren't flying. Every aircraft was down that day. So we reported it as a near miss, and that was the official position that was taken.
I mean, and that's exactly what has me curious, is that something going clearly faster than 250 knots, below 10,000 feet, should not be doing that. Clearly unsafe, but what kind of conventional craft do you think possibly could be doing this?
And one of the reactions that we had is it could be an F-100, but we didn't hear any noise. We didn't get into some turbulence or any of that sort. So it was a different reaction that we experienced as a result, had it been a conventional jet aircraft.
It wasn't a meteor.
I can tell you categorically it was not a meteor.
And it wasn't hallucination.
It was not a hallucination.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's quite the experience.
Both Kevin Day and Rick Jesse had unexplainable encounters with tic-tac-shaped UFOs during their time in the military. With the similarities of the two incidents, how many other pilots and crew have had experiences like Kevin Day and Rick Jesse? To find out, Ben is reaching out to NARCAP, an organization that tracks anonymous pilot reports of encounters with UFOs.
Hi, Ted.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you for meeting with me. Can you tell me, on average, how many new cases do you get reported to you from pilots?
We average about 24 cases a year.
Wow.
Yes, we feel it's the tip of the iceberg. Generally, FAA will not take them on and won't study them. And this is a very irrational perspective, in my opinion, because anytime I'm in a gathering of airmen, somebody's got something to tell me.
Now, Ted, you've been doing this for quite some time. What do you think they are? Where do you think they're from?
That's the big question. Some of them I think are natural phenomena, but others beg a different explanation. They're clearly technical. They're clearly superior in performance to any known aerial phenomena, including airplanes. I have a hard time believing that they're human technology, wherever they're from.
Do you think we're prepared? If this were malevolent, if they have, bad intentions, do you think we're prepared to meet with such superior technology?
No. No. Unequivocally, no. We're talking about something very, very different, and we've had no real preparation for it, just rumors.
If you take all these factors together, I don't know why the media especially, or the government, doesn't take more notice of these things, because they're significant, they could be potentially very dangerous, and they're happening.
That's a good synopsis right there.
All right, well, Ted, thank you so much. You've given me a lot to think about. Everything that you've done to collect these reports, I think, is very important, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you. Ted and the NARCAP organization have been studying UFO pilot reports for decades. And what he concludes is that these are not conventional craft. They are probably not from here. They're extraterrestrial. And I think that that is confirming what I've been seeing in the Coin Copter case and with the Nimitz video. So if these are the types of reports we're getting that are coming forward, think about all the others we're not receiving.
Digging into NARCAP's archives, Ben turns up a shocking video taken by 2 documentary filmmakers. Has the Tic Tac craft been sighted once again? Ben is meeting back up with Kevin Day and legendary ufologist Dr. Bruce Maccabee to find out their opinions.
I'd like to start with this video that we obtained from a more recent case out of Beaver, Utah. Kind of just like your opinions on this.
There.
Right there, so fast. Here's a slowed down version, but as you see it come here,
Came down through that far valley and
ostensibly, this does come from that valley, right?
It appears that way. It is a long distance away, it's a big thing, and it's going at extremely high speed.
Coming out of the right here, okay, starts to take shape.
I'm noticing the shape of it seems similar.
I mean, how would you describe it? I look at that and it's a pill shape, Tic Tac.
Looks like a Tic Tac.
Yeah. Are we perhaps looking at the same phenomenon?
That's my personal speculation.
The craft Kevin encountered, the one that pulled Rick Jesse's helicopter, and this new object out of Utah, all share the signature Tic Tac shape.
So, Bruce, I'm sure you've looked over this. What is your take when you initially saw this?
You know, I often wonder whether somebody got his head chopped off for the release of this stuff. Anyway, this thing, whatever it was out of its cage, playing with us.
Yeah.
Here they're saying, we can do something you can't do. This thing is sort of moving in oddball patterns. You could say, well, it looks like instantaneous direction changes. It's the type of thing that's been reported for years, but people didn't know how to believe it. A guy where I worked told me about a sighting he and his kids had one day in the Washington, D.C. area. I never published this, but I might. He's long gone. Anyway, he said he was out there sitting on his lawn one Sunday. This was back in the 70s. He looks up and he sees this thing come dropping down to some apparent altitude, and as he's watching, another one comes in from another direction, and then he's got 2 of these things side by side. Then one of them goes right straight up, and the other one leaves by going bing, 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 a zigzag motion.
So what you're saying is they may have been seeing the same types of objects, but they were just seeing it differently.
Right. Well, they didn't know how to interpret it.
I'll tell you, with my experience with hoaxes and CGI, if this is CGI, this is actually really pretty good. It takes a lot of detail, in my opinion, to do an overlay composite and get that motion blur and the frame and the attention to the detail in that. If this is this close to camera now, this is the last frame. So you're seeing frame by frame, together, as it gets closer, it spreads out. Not a lot of people would know even to consider doing that in a hoax.
That's true.
Previously, the government has tried to keep this whole subject at arm's length, and if everybody who was a witness fell off the cliff, the government wouldn't care.
So what you're saying is they may have been seeing the same types of objects, but they were just seeing it differently.
Well, they didn't know how to interpret it. We have suspected that the government is doing more than they are saying for years. The problem is they can't keep the UFOs themselves quiet. Well, the whole phenomenon is being driven by them.